everyone, Tina here for Papertrey Ink. I hope you're having a fabulous day. I'm so glad you're joining me. I have a fun project to share with you. We're going to make a cupcake, cherry cupcake today. Doing a little baking and stamping. We're using the Papertrey Ink Occasional Cupcake Stamp set. This is two 4x6 stamps, which equal a 6x8. But there's a lot packed in this stamp set. There's so much that you can create different occasions for with the cupcakes. There's three different icings, but then all of the other elements you can use to create seasonal cupcakes. For example, spring or Easter cupcakes. You have the bunny and the Easter eggs, even some grass, but the grass could be great for springtime if you wanted to add a few flowers. There's some flowers in the stamp set. There is a cherry, which we're going to be using. There's a couple different hearts. There's Halloween items like a bat and a pumpkin face. There's also a top hat that you can create a snowman with. So seasonal, occasional, and everyday. Perfect cupcake stamp set. We're going to make a simple card today using a greeting that says "Let's celebrate" from our Birthday Your Way 2 stamp set. So I guess with let's celebrate, it could be for a few different occasions. So that's what I thought we would use for the cupcake today. I'm also going to bring in the Love to Layer Soft Scallop die set. We're going to be using the two largest to place our cupcake on. And then I'm also going to create a background using the Perfect Present Stencil collection. I like the polka dots in here, and we'll be using this to add a little detail to one of these scallops. Okay, we're going to jump in and do a little bit of stamping. We're going to start by stamping our cupcake liner, and for this I'm going to bring in my classic Kraft ink. I'm going to go ahead and ink this up, and we'll stamp this. There's a detail layer also that you can add to the cupcake liner. It looks a little blotchy, but with the dye-based ink it will even out when it dries. But with the second layer, I'm going to use a darker brown ink. I'm going to use dark chocolate. And we're just going to layer this right on top. These layers are pretty easy to line up. So that is our cupcake liner. Okay, now we have our frosting. The nice thing is the dies will cut out each one of these layers. So they're built, you can build on them. For my frosting, I'm going to use pale peony. I'm going to make some pink frosting. I'll stamp this here. And then there is that layer, and I'm going to use Lovely Lady ink. This ink is a little bit darker. We're just going to line this up. Lovely. Okay. Now for my cherry, we are going to use the dark chocolate and our pure poppy. And what I'm going to do is open both of these up. I'm going to ink up the cherry with pure poppy, and then I'll ink up the stem with my dark chocolate, and I'm going to stamp that. And then I'm going to stamp a few leaves with my new leaf ink here. I'm also going to take the cake portion, and I'm going to stamp this. I'm going to go sideways here. Okay, and we're going to have a chocolate cake. And that's almost all the stamping we're going to do. I'm going to leave out my dark chocolate, my new leaf, and my pure poppy inks because I'm going to create a background with cherries on it. But before we do that, I do want to die cut out my liner here and my cherry. And I'm going to die cut out even my little leaves. The nice thing about this piece here that I'm calling a leaf, but it can also be the flame for a candle. So there's versatility in all of this. Okay, and for there is a die that will cut out my cupcake portion, but I'm going to create layers. So I'm just going to take the cupcake base die, and I'm going to just directly cut out this background here. I have everything die cut out, and we're going to layer it together, and we'll put this off to the side and create a cherry background. So far it's so easy to put together, but first I'm going to add my leaves here to my cherry stem. I went ahead and attached my leaves to the cherry. And again, those leaves can be candle flames also. I'm going to take my cupcake liner. I put foam tape behind it. We're going to tack this down. Just layer it right on the cupcake base, like so. Next I'm going to take my frosting. I put foam tape at the very bottom, and we're going to tack this just so a little bit of that cake is peeking out. And then I put a foam square behind my cherry. I'm just going to remove the release paper, and we're going to add our cherry right to the top. And that's our cupcake. We're going to put this off to the side, and we're going to work on our background. I have a panel that I trimmed down. This is a panel that measures 3 1/4 inches wide by 4 1/2 inches tall. And we're going to use those same inks that we used for our first cherry. I'm going to actually, it's easier for me to take them out of my container here. With Pure Poppy, the cherry, I'm going to dip the stem in my dark chocolate, and I'm going to start stamping. And what I'm going to do is stamp all around the outside edge of my panel. I'm not worried about the inside because that's going to be covered. But I'm going to add a little ink, a little dark chocolate, and we're just going to create a cherry filled background. And this is kind of the fun part where we just fill in. I'm going to continue until my entire background is filled. So I have a background filled with cherries, and now I'm going to take my new leaf ink, and then I'm going to add some greenery here. This is the kind of the fun part. Some leaves I'll add 1, others I'll add 2. Just going to add. Okay, so we have a panel with cherries filled in, and that is our cherry filled backgrounds. Okay, let's put this with the cupcakes, and in the meantime I'm going to take some white cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my greeting, and we'll die cut this out. I'm going to use the Let's Celebrate here. I'm going to use my True Black ink, and I'm going to stamp the word celebrate. There is a coordinating die set that we're going to use to cut this out. While we're die cutting this out, I'm going to bring in my Love to Layer soft scallops. We're going to take the largest, and then I'm also going to take the second largest, and I'll run this through my die cut machine. So we have our greeting and we have our scallops. I'm going to put these two aside, and we're going to do a little stenciling. I'm going to use the Perfect Present stencil collection. We're going to use the polka dots I mentioned before. I went ahead and put a little bit of pixie spray behind here. I'm going to go ahead and tack this down over my stencil, and I'm just going to go for black polka dots. So we had our True Black ink out. I'm just going to use a blending brush, and we're going to add some black polka dots behind here. Okay, let's go ahead and layer this layer right over the top, just so a few of those polka dots are hanging out. Okay, we're going to flip this around. I'm going to add some adhesive here, and we're going to tack this down to the center of our cherry card here. I'm going to take my cupcake, and we're going to place it right in the center. I'm going to take my Let's Celebrate, and we're going to tack it down right over the cupcake liner so it stands out a little bit. I'm just going to use my tape runner for that. Okay, I have an A2 panel of pure poppy cardstock. I'm going to bring in, I have some Papertrey Ink Gingham ribbon. What I'm going to do is wrap it around an A2 panel of my pure poppy cardstock. We'll tie a bow. The very top here, I'm going to go ahead and trim the tails. Kind of shorten the bow a little bit. Okay, let's take this. I'm going to add this to the front of my card base. I just used my tape runner to adhere it. And then we're going to take this panel. I'm going to add some glue to the left and to the right. And then we're going to add this to the center of our card base here. Last but not least, I'm going to bring in glossy accents, and I'm going to go over my cherry here. And that will finish off my card today. Fun little Let's Celebrate card. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a lovely day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.